people often forget about 8 of the 10 warrior Digimon. That was pretty evident in BT18 while everyone was thinking about Takuya and Koji and Purple Hybrid. All I could think about was the horse. And now, just like I snuck the horse into my local game store's meta, I'm planting the idea in your head.
Well, that was way more dramatic than I had originally planned, but the important thing is that this is a weird but really fun deck. Let's start with the core of the deck. Obviously, we are running 4 of the horse. AncientTroymon is really good, and it's really good for a couple of reasons. The first one being the effect to trash the top card of your opponent's security when one of their Digimon becomes suspended is all turns. So if they do attack with a Digimon and they don't remove it with a when attacking effect, then we do get to trash the top card of their security. If it's removed for any reason, then you get to either play out or return to hand a level 4 or lower green card. Could potentially make sure that you've got that extra check to end the game the next turn, or put it in hand so that you can Digivolve and keep going. Sadly, the horse doesn't come with a way to just suspend things by itself. The level 4s will help with that, so let's talk about them. We are running 4 of both the new Pedalmon and the Arbormon. They were kind of printed as the dedicated support, so it makes sense. They both have the same inheritable for when attacking, suspend an opponent's Digimon. They can both be used for the Digicross conditions for AncientTroymon, so we can in the end play it for 8. These new green hybrids are a really strong tag team duo. The Arbormon can Digivolve on top of a level 3 or Tamer for a cost of 2, or on top of a Pedalmon for 0. And the Pedalmon can Digivolve onto a level 3 or Tamer for a cost of 3, or on top of an Arbormon for 1. So regardless of how you Digivolve with the 3, the Tamer, the 2 of these, it will cost you 3. And you will really want to use these in tandem because the Arbormon's on play / when Digivolving effect is suspend one of your Digimon to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. And then the Pedalmon effect is when Digivolving, unsuspend a level 4 or lower vegetation, plant, or fairy Digimon.
Wrong.
So you can suspend the Arbormon when you play it, and then you can Digivolve onto it to unsuspend it, and you have something then suspend to potentially swing into. Instead, I like the aggression that you get of just swinging the Arbormon or another Digimon in, and then Digivolving into the Pedalmon to unsuspend and get a second check. Those 3 Digimon kind of form the core of the deck, but how are we going to support that? This deck can go in a lot of different directions, but I'm choosing to go with this kind of weird hybrid option. So I know we're going to be playing Tamers, and that's why I'm running BT11 Tanemon. When we play a Tamer, we're going to be able to draw a card, and that'll just help us find our pieces a bit more consistently than some of the other eggs can provide. I was previously running the Kokomon, and while its effect is really good, I just didn't see it happening enough to keep playing it, and that's why I switched over to the Tanemon. But I have found that sometimes I need a 5th egg, and maybe that could be the 5th, but really, it could be whatever you feel like. Dealer's choice. For the 3s, I've decided to use some of the Ukamon package.
Okay, let's kill him. Let's kill this guy. Let's beat him to death with hammers.
This is kind of what he was intended for anyway. You help some weird decks, not like make meta decks even better than what they're normally supposed to be, so I feel like it's fine. And I'm only running 2 of the Searcher Ukamon and 1 of the Memory Gain Ukamons. You could definitely up the Ukamon count, and there's a really interesting reason why you might want to do that, but we'll talk about that in a bit. We already know the Pedalmon likes to unsuspend level 4 or lower plant or vegetations, and we're going to be running some of those plant and vegetation level 3s because they search for everything in the deck. AncientTroymon is a ancient plant, so if you play BT10 Palmon, we're running 4, then you get to search for potentially the horse and some fairies. And guess what? I didn't realize this, so I'm hoping this is a revelation to you, and you'll see a video clip in the next video of this. Ukamon is an ancient fairy. Palmon doesn't say it has to be green, it just has to have fairy in the traits. So you can just grab Ukamons. Whoa! Whoa! I'm hoping that's a revelation, and you're not just like, yeah, duh, read the card. Somebody's typing that right now. I can tell that somebody's typing that as we speak. I'm also running the one of Lalamon purely for the sake of, hey, it's another searcher, and we are going to be running some Tamers. Yoshino's a good pick, so you might be able to get that effect off sometimes. I also run a couple of the BT13 Pedalmons just because you might be able to move out, target something saying, you know, that if that suspends, I will gain 2 memory, use the Arbormon to suspend, and just continue some of your plays in that way. It also has that Digievolution cost reduction if you've got a green Tamer, so it works well. It's just something that you don't want all of the time. It's better that you just have it some of the time. Lastly, I'm running 2 of the Pokemon. I'd run this at a higher number, but this deck does sit right in the middle of like a Vegetation deck and a hybrid deck. You end up playing the Pokemon and not really being able to find the pieces that you want, which sucks. So instead, I'm only running him at 2, and when we can get the effect off to gain memory when Digivolving onto a Tamer, great. While we're here as well, we might as well talk about the rest of our 4s, and the only thing that I'm running is an additional one of Arbormon and one of Pedalmon. These are the old ones, but because AncientTroymon can cross with any Arbormon and Pedalmon, it doesn't matter. It's just more targets for us to be able to get those cross conditions off. Since we're talking about our hybrids and Pokemons, let's talk about the Tamers. So we're running 4 of the BT13 Mimi, and that can search plant, vegetation, and fairy. So we pretty much hit everything in the deck. Admittedly, Pokemon is a mutant, so he doesn't count. Get away from me, you freak! Get away! Mimi isn't just good for her search. You can also suspend her when you suspend something by an effect to gain 1 memory. So hypothetically, you can use the Arbormon effect to suspend something, suspend the Mimi, gain 1 memory, Digivolve into the Pedalmon on top of the Mimi, and then unsuspend itself, effectively making that 3-cost evolution a 2-cost evolution. And we all know 2 is the magic number for hybriding for game. The other Tamer that we're running is Yoshino. Yoshino is a memory setter, which is great, but also it has the effect when Digivolving into a plant, vegetation, or fairy, you can suspend Yoshino to gain 1 memory. It's pretty much the exact same thing. So we get to utilize our Tamers for all of their benefits whilst also getting in a check. The last Tamer that I'm running is 2 of the Shoto, and look, this is going in a lot of decks at the moment. It's really good just for that memory gain and the ability to turn something into a blocker. If I don't have game and I see you have it, I want to make it harder for you to win. Now I'm going to talk about the 5s, because that's the number that comes after 4. Because AncientTroymon has a Digicross, we don't need to run that many 5s, but they do help to bridge the gap sometimes when you're trying to Evo and find things. Definitely fill a utility slot in this deck. So we're running 2 of the Lilymon Ace so that we can just suspend something, potentially bottom deck something as well. Because we've got this focus around our level 4s, it makes sense to have the level 5 Ace because we're probably going to have some level 4s just sitting there at times. In previous versions of the deck, I even had some more of the vegetation package, like the Sunflowermons and the Togemons. Togemon specifically so I could play Tamers for less. But in the end, I found that it was cutting into my consistency having them there, so they got removed. The other level 5 that we're running is 3 of the Lilamon, and that's because we want to be able to play our Yoshinos for free when we get that opportunity, and also it has that Sec +1 inheritable. That can mean that if we're swinging with the AncientTroymon and then we suspend something, that we can then do 2 checks and also trash the security. The alternate level 6 that we're running is 2 of the BT14 Rosemon, and now this has an effect that can unsuspend itself. So if you do have the Lilamon underneath, then you're able to swing, potentially suspend something, do 2 checks, unsuspend, and then do another 2 checks. And because we're running the Rosemon and the Yoshino, we can make full use of that alternate Digievolution cost for the Rosemon burst mode. The other level 7 that we're running is the Paladin mode. And the reason that we're running this is because I was finding in too many games that I just wasn't able to deal with other people's Digimon. I was literally up against a Hexablaumon deck and I really couldn't do anything. The funniest thing that I've done with this deck is in that game, I was able to just stack Arbormon and Pedalmons on top of each other until I had more sources than the Hexablau and swing over it. That's the only thing that I was able to do to close out that game, and I went from that point onwards. I probably need a second card that can deal with this situation, similar situations, and as much as I hate Paladin mode, it does work for this deck. Options are fairly simple. I'm running 2 of the giant missile because bugs exist and it pretty much hard counters a lot of decks, this being one of them. And then I have 4 of the agility trainings, but realistically, I think I should be changing this into the memory boosts. Agility training is better for the sake of grabbing your tamers, but the memory boosts are better because you can't digivolve on top of a tamer using an agility training. Even though your tamer is considered a Digimon, when you're digivolving into the hybrid, it's not when you crack the in training. So that's the deck. I mean, I really enjoyed just tinkering with this deck over the last, however many months. It really took my attention away from other decks that I would have probably also liked to play, but let me know what decks took your attention when you didn't expect it, or what weird things you worked on last year. And until next time, be good or good at it. Catch you later.